Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and this is my contest response for Filthy Icon. Juan, congratulations, Juan, on 300 subs. Very cool. You definitely deserve them. I'm glad you're making videos again. You took a little break there for a while, and it's nice to see you back. So, sorry if I'm a little winded. I'm still, I've been out doing the yard work for the last 4 hours, so I'm a little bit beat down right now. But Juan had a few questions that he wanted us to answer, and he wants to show a few things. So I'm just going to jump into it. I got my little cheat sheet because it is quite a few things. The first question he asked is, are you picky about playing vinyl all the way through? That's one of the things that I like about vinyl. I'm real bad with CDs about flipping through songs to find a better song, and not getting that full experience, especially from older bands through the mid '90s that were very album oriented. And I probably miss out on a lot of really good stuff because CDs allows you to just skip through songs that don't click with you on that first couple of seconds of listening. So one thing I do like about vinyl is that I do put an album on. I started at the beginning and I listen to it all the way through. It's very, very rare that I will pick up the needle and drop it in the middle of at a later song or anything like that. I've always been that way with cassettes too, even though I did and do have a cassette player that will fast forward to the next song if you want it to. It can sense the dead space and go to the next track if you so choose. But I find with both vinyl and album that I listen all the way through. The next question he asks is, do you stop and pay attention to the record? I don't have a listening station. I guess technically I do because I can go like this and my stereo is right there. But I don't generally just sit there and listen to music. There are songs and certain albums that will pull me in and I will kick back and listen to it. But I'm usually doing something, whether it's... I've always got music going. Always. It's in my car. When I'm working, I have it in my ears. I was out doing the yard, I had my earbuds in. When I'm on the computer, there's pretty much always music going. And I find that I can listen to it and do whatever I'm doing at the same time. Like I said, certain songs will pull me in and I'll just kick back. Jazz especially does that. I was having a discussion over email with Aaron about this not too long ago. Jazz is one of those... types of music that just kind of draws me in, especially really good jazz. I'll just kick back and I just want to listen to it. But I'm not one of those people that has a listening spot and I just sit there and stare at the wall or and listen to music. That's just not who I am. Let's see. Share a concert story. I've shared a pretty good portion of the concert stories that I have. Obviously, I've been to more concerts and shows over the years as I can count, but trying to think of a good one. I guess I'll share, and I've talked about this briefly. I'm not 100% sure what my first real concert was. I went to some shows when I was younger with my dad. That I don't really remember. Don't really remember who the artists were. I just remember being at those events with musicians playing. And some big name bands. When we were in the military, or when my dad was in the military at that time, we were in Germany and they always had big name bands come out and play. And I remember going and being there with tens of thousands of people watching these bands. I don't remember who the bands were, unfortunately. The first two shows I do remember happened around the same time, and I don't remember which came first. So I went to see White Cross, which is a Christian heavy metal band, and I also saw the Beach Boys about the same time, and that was with the members of the church youth group that I was involved in. The whole youth group went to see the Beach Boys at the fair. In Phoenix, you pay $10 to get into the fair, and concerts are free. And I've seen many killer bands do that. I saw Megadeth 2 times that way at the fair, and actually both times with Megadeth I actually paid to upgrade to nicer seats, but that's beside the point. But they were around the same time. I don't remember which one was the first one. The Beach Boys was kind of funny because John Stamos was on drums, which kind of blew me away. But and he was really good too, and they were good. I'm not the super Beach Boys fanatic. I like their greatest hits and whatnot, but everybody that says that Pet Sounds is one of the greatest albums ever written. I think it's okay. There's a couple of really good songs, but as a whole album, I don't think it's that good. Not when you compare it to the other 100 or 200 best albums of all time. But I digress. But the White Cross was very interesting. So there was a pizza place in Tucson, and they may have been in Phoenix too, called Pistol Pete's back in the 80s. And they may have been around in the 70s too, but I know they were around for most of the 80s. And they were eventually bought out by Peter Piper Pizza, both of who I believe were headquartered in, I believe they're both headquartered in Arizona, but because I remember Peter Piper there before it popped up anywhere else, and now it's obviously everywhere. But so anyway, Pistol Pete's, me and a friend and I went there for lunch one day. It was all you can eat lunch for like $6 or $5 or something back then. And we noticed that there were a bunch of people lining up outside, a very long line, probably 200 people. And we weren't sure what was going on, so we asked, and somebody had mentioned White Cross was playing. I had never heard of White Cross before, so I asked who that was. And one of the people in line said, "Oh, it's the greatest heavy metal band ever." And again, I had never heard of them, which kind of surprised me because I was into heavy metal. Then somebody mentioned that it was Christian heavy metal, which was something I wasn't familiar with at this time, other than Stryper. And this was about 88, I wouldn't say 88, but possibly 89. So it was either the final or the end of the tour for White Cross's first album, or it was the beginning, they were just starting to tour for their second album. I don't remember which was the case. But so, I went home. I only lived about 2 blocks away from here, like a 5 or 10 minute walk. The show was still an hour away. And I asked my mom if we could go back and see the show, and my buddy did the same. And they both said yes. It was $7 or $8 to get in. It wasn't anything exuberant, So we went back and got in and watched the show. And yes, it was a heavy metal show in a pizza place. But don't picture it as this little tiny pizza place. I mean, this place was monstrous. I mean, there were probably, 600 or 700 people in there, and there was plenty of room. It's not like we were stuffed in there with that many people. They set up their stage, and this is before the pizza places had the ball pits and all that stuff. They had an area for video games and an area for pizza. I mean, that was pretty much it back then. But they set up their stage over to the side where the video games and all that stuff would have been, and they just put on a killer show, and that was kind of my introduction to Christian metal, which I got into more in depth in the early to mid '90s. But it was just a really cool experience, happening onto a show like that. And they put on a really cool show. Rex Carroll on guitar back then was just phenomenal. He knocked my socks off. But and that was kind of what got me into wanting to go to live shows. After that, I really wanted to go to live shows, and I've always preferred small venues like that. Don't get me wrong. I like going to see, Megadeth and Motley Crue and all these Kiss with 60,000 people. That's awesome, but just the intimacy you get from a small place, I've always preferred that. So I really love, especially now, some of the really big metal bands that were playing arenas back in the 80s. I mean, it sucks. It sucks that they're playing small venues now, but I really enjoy that they're playing small venues now because I get that that more up close personal experience from seeing the band that you just don't get when you're in a big arena or in an amphitheater, you know. So just kind of my first heavy metal show. That's my story of that. So that's my concert story. So he said, what was your best pickup of 2014? 2014, I spent a lot of money on records, and I got some really cool stuff. And I could probably put together a list of about 50 that were just awesome pickups. But when you asked that, the first thing that came to mind was a trade that I had with SMF Captain Howdy, and I just talked about this in my last video, but it was Kiss the Originals, the Japanese pressing. It was just a really cool trade. I really wanted a copy of the originals, and then the fact that it was the Japanese pressing just made it put it over the top for me. So that's it for that. Then you asked what instruments we play, and you asked for a demonstration. So I played drums for close to 20 years, 15 years, I guess, probably is more. Yeah, about 15 years. I played for 3 different bands early on. All 3 were heavy metal bands. This was all in the mid-90s. Actually, most of the guys from my first 2 bands are, all but the guitarist, are still in the Arizona music scene, the Phoenix music scene, still playing in bands. Actually, I think the band that 3 of the guys from my first band are still in a band together, and I think they're on a hiatus because one of the guys' wives is having trouble. So, but I played drums for like I said, a good 15 years. I did pick up bass as well in probably 97 or 98, and I played bass for. I played bass for a good 4 or 5 years, pretty heavily. I never played any bands. It was just something I kind of did for my own enjoyment. I've also got a guitar. I don't have it here. It's downstairs, but I'm not very good, so I'm not going to do a demonstration. It's just something I kind of screw with in my free time when I'm bored. I know a couple Johnny Cash songs and stuff like that, but you know, I know the 4 main chords and a bunch of songs that play off of those 4 main chords. So, so no demonstration. Sorry about that, you know, but just not that good. So, and then let's go ahead. I mean, I've shown this before, but you asked to see our turntable setup as well. So I'll go ahead and show that as well, just because you asked. So here we go. So I've shown this before. So here is my turntable. As you can see, it's a Technics SLQ30, and I've had this since I was a child, really. I mean, my dad bought this brand new in the early 80s. I want to say 82 or 83, and this was our family turntable, and he's always just kind of taken care of it, and he gave it to me a number of years ago, and I've just kind of kept it up and running. Got a Audio Technica AT31 or 311 EP P-mount on there. Now this is one thing I do want to upgrade this year. This will be one of my goals. I'm still going to get another Technics. Probably the same basic model. They make the same basic model of this. I want to say it's the SLQ3, but I may be wrong. I love this turntable. I just don't like the P-mount. I'd like to get be able to get a better stylus. You know, this is one of the better styluses that you can get, or styli, maybe, I don't know. This is one of the better stylus that you can get, though, for P-mount, and it's only like, I think they're $50. I found this one on sale. Amazon was having a sale on it. Was $25, but it's like a $50 needle. So I'll just drop the needle. Maybe we won't. Let's try that again. I was listening to YNT, so that's what this is right here. And I've talked about this before. You know, receiver is nothing special. It's a $100 and something Insignia that I bought from Best Buy. The main reason I'm using that was, you know, I had limited money when I bought it. I do want to get a Marantz. I just haven't decided on which one yet. I just go back and forth between which one I want to get. Eventually I'm just going to grab one and just go with it, you know. But and I've got my Sony tape deck here. They got it at a thrift store for I think $6. And then my ES series CD player here, which is one of Sony's high-end CD players from the 90s. Killer CD player. Everything sounds amazing on it. There you go. That's a basic setup, man. So again, Juan, once again, congratulations on 300 subs. Let's hope in the next year you get 300 more, and take care, buddy. I hope all is good.